It's time now for our Spotlight program. I mentioned earlier, Ken Daly with the Blue Zones is in the studio today. We're going to be talking about the Blue Zones project. This is going into summer number 2 of being a Blue Zone designated city. Good morning, Ken. How are you?
Excellent.
Let's jump right into it. We've been hearing about Blue Zones. In fact, I mentioned before we went on the air, seems like this is the third year, but it took a year to get ramped up and actually be designated as a Blue Zone community. The governor's designation or a proclamation to make Iowa the healthiest state in the union by, what was it, 2015, 2020?
2015.
2015 was sort of the impetus for this, and so Fairfield naturally seems like would be a perfect spot to designate a Blue Zone. When we talk about it, we think about living healthier and doing things like that. But Blue Zone actually encompasses a wide scope of items, doesn't it?
It really does. You know, one of the things that happens is that people kind of, and we all do it, we want to stereotype or niche something as one thing or another. But Blue Zone is really talking about our community as a whole, as a total. Right from physical activity, having a right outlook, eating wisely, and belonging. All of these things are part of what makes a community. And there are 9 items, actually, that we address in the Blue Zones project directly. And they, like I said, they fall into these big 4 categories of moving naturally, being able to find in your day a place to be physically dynamic. That's really important. And then having good outlook, knowing your purpose, being able to downshift and take it easy at the right times, eating wisely. One of the things in that is eating about 80% of till you're full, about 80% of being full. Basically, getting more fruit and vegetables into your diet. We call it the plant slant. The section has to do with wine at 5. It doesn't mean you have to take up drinking, but the idea of late in the day getting together with friends in a social situation. And this whole area of belonging, prioritizing your family, making sure that you have a group of people around you, a tribe around you that feels right and feels good. Could be a church group, could be almost anything.
We're talking about being a Blue Zone community, but it really, community is the key aspect to it.
It absolutely is, because there's this sense that somehow there's a magic bullet. Well, the magic bullet on this one is community. Deep, caring community. And that, of course, it's any community is made up of a plethora of different groups and peoples and such, and each one of them have their own little communities within that. And that's not a problem, but the sense of community for the individual that they belong to, that's the key thing, I think.
I know that when there was a shift on how communities are going to be designated a Blue Zone community, Fairfield fell below that demarcation point of 10,000 people. We had to wait a year. And then we asked people to go back and commit themselves to the Blue Zone Challenge.
Right.
Where we stand on that, we still need people to sign up and sort of recommit. And when we say commit, that's, people don't want to make giant lifestyle changes, and that's not what this is about. They're asking you to make small incremental changes.
Very small, very incremental. And actually, all we're asking people is to do one. And now, one of what? Well, the easiest way to find out that is if you go to Facebook, and that'll be the easiest thing, you just type in Blue Zones Project or Fairfield Blue Zone Project, and you're going to be able to get connected to a lot of the stuff that's happening in the Fairfield area. We're hunting for about 70 or 700 more people to go in, and even if they've gone in before, go in and commit to one activity online. BlueZonesProject.com is the actual address of if you want to do the URL. But go in, commit to one thing, and it could be anything from walking your dog to changing the size of your plates in your kitchen. Lots of little things. And what we find is that if people do one little thing, there's just a chance that maybe they'll do 2 little things. And all of a sudden, you got a lifestyle shift.
Yeah, we're talking with Ken Daly about Blue Zones project here in Fairfield. Over the weekend, there was a press release come out. I know we talked about it on Monday about another restaurant being certified, Blue Zone certified. what does that mean when we hear those headlines and read those headlines?
Well, what it is that we have a lot of different groups in that we're reaching out to. Restaurants is one of them. And in restaurants, they have a set of criteria that they start to do a checkoff list. They don't have to do all of them, and but they'll choose which ones work for their establishment. And if they get enough points, they get certified. And it's simple little things like in a restaurant, not having salt on the table. Now, there's nothing wrong with salt. We need salt in our diet. Sodium is extremely important. The problem is that we're getting so much of it in everything we eat that it's best that in a restaurant we ask for our salt rather than it's there, because there's that tendency just to pile it on. And hypertension is associated with too much sodium. That's one little thing. Another one is that the default is not French fries. You know, that the default is actually something that's healthier. Fruit, fresh fruit, something like this that makes a healthier meal. So there's a lot of these little things that a restaurant can do. Some of it's changing the menu slightly, making sure that there's a kids option or a smaller portion option, different things like that. And if they get enough points, they get certified. And we're actually, of course, in Fairfield, in that rather interesting problem that we have to get a lot of restaurants certified because we have so many restaurants in the city. The last count I heard was, I think it was 28 restaurants that are independent restaurants that could have qualified, and we needed to have 25% of those, and we're real close. We only have to get one more, actually, at this point in time, after Istanbul Grill, which is the one that's getting certified today at 10 o'clock.
Again, Ken Daly's our guest today. We talked about the restaurants. I know that the grocery stores in town have participated and made changes there. How do other segments of industry become Blue Zone certified or take part in a more active way in being a Blue Zone community?
Well, each one of the groups, major groups in the community, and it's all the people in the community that this encompasses, actually, have these checkoff lists. So if a company, and this is one of the things we're trying to reach out right now, is to get, and we're not falling behind, we're just not getting the success that we wanted to get right now, is with businesses, getting businesses online. I don't know a business in this town or any town that isn't concerned about healthcare costs. And this Blue Zones project is really an excellent way of reducing healthcare costs. Because it creates longevity in there and a healthier workforce. And same thing with a restaurant, there's a checkoff list. With a company, it's the same thing. There's a checkoff list, and they do the things that work for them. If they're a small company, maybe 10 employees, certain things aren't going to be appropriate for them, whereas a larger company like Hawthorne Direct or the university, for instance, that I'm working with right now, there's 300 and some people in that. So the needs are different in those. But the checkoff list allows them to go where their strengths are. And they get their checkoffs, and if they do it, get through it, they get that authorization that they become certified as a Blue Zone.
I know that you're working closely with some other groups on the Community Transformation Grant, and some of the things they've done is gone in and offered smoking cessation programs, looked at the healthier vending options in their break rooms and things like that. Is that helping people move forward in their Blue Zone designations? Absolutely.
One of the things that we look at in the community is, again, the sense of totality. We want to make sure that the whole community is reacting. And we know we've got some real serious concerns. I've talked to you different times before about the binge drinking, and other folks have, I'm sure, been on talking about that concern in Jefferson County. That's part of a Blue Zones project because that's part of our community. We have to reach out and make sure that those things are being changed, that behaviors are starting to shift. So we've got a tobacco coalition that's part of of what's going on here. I work very closely with the tobacco coalition and I sit on both committees. And I sit on a lot of different committees because we're all trying to do the same thing. And if you move any one of these legs in this chair of Fairfield, all the rest are going to move. So if we can tweak a little bit on alcohol, we tweak a little bit on things like e-cigarettes. I'm really concerned about e-cigarettes right now. You know, a year ago I wasn't. 2 years, the year before that, I was. But that's kind of come back up again right now because e-cigarettes is starting to. Big tobacco is starting to market e-cigarettes because I think they got the word that the jig's up on tobacco, and that there's a lot of scrutiny, and they're trying to move into e-cigarettes so that the nicotine habit can be maintained, and that's a major concern of mine right now.
Again, Ken Daly's our guest here on the Spotlight program talking about Fairfield and the Blue Zones project. And again, you can do a Google search on Blue Zones Fairfield. There's a Facebook site as well. Spring and summer programs geared around Blue Zones. You have anything on the calendar?
Well, we got one thing that's coming up real soon. Well, not real soon, April 19th. It's a Saturday night, April 19th at 7 o'clock at the Fairfield Library. Seth Braun is going to speak on Blue Zones project and how to grow healthier. And this is a new talk that he's doing. And Seth actually is actually working with the national organization on Blue Zones now. Not just at the Fairfield level, but he's actually one of their speakers at a national level. So this is going to be quite a good opportunity to hear a national recognized speaker here in Fairfield. So that's April 19th at 7 o'clock at the public library.
Over the last couple of years, we've organized I think on a Friday afternoon over the noon hour, a walk from Howard Park to the square and back. Is there plans to continue that tradition?
Yes, that's going to happen this spring. That really comes out, the Healthier State Initiative.
That's right.
All of those things, they're not different. They're all, Blue Zones encompasses everything. There's a set of criteria, of course, for a Blue Zone to get certified. And so that has its own life. But really what we're hunting for in the big picture is to make Fairfield really, what my objective obviously has been expressed several times now is to make Fairfield and Jefferson County the healthiest rural county in Iowa. That's my first objective, and we're moving along, actually. Things are progressing.
Well, it was interesting when the Blue Zone initiative was put forth. It just seemed unnatural. There was so many. Fairfield already had so many of these things in place that it was just sort of a no-brainer to try to get that designation as a community.
And what's happening, for the most part, is that most of the companies and organizations, for instance, the schools, we're getting all the elementary schools in Fairfield School District to become certified. They've accepted that challenge. And for the most part, it's really documenting many of the things that they're already doing. There's definitely some tweaks that have to happen, but for much of the progress is just documenting what's already happening.
Yeah, and Ken Daly's been our guest here on the Spotlight program. I mentioned the Community Transformation Grant. I know you work very closely with that. Can you kind of explain the what's happening at the intersection of Burlington and is it 12th Street?
It's right on the corner at
Hy-Vee.
Hy-Vee. It's at the Hy-Vee corner right now. There's several different things. Now that's under the public health through the federal grant called the Community Transformation Grant. And so what we're trying to do is make that into a safe for pedestrian and for cyclists. That corner. That's been designated by several different groups that have looked at it as likely the most dangerous intersection we have in the city right now. So there's going to be some cutaways, some curbing done. We're going to try to put some lanes in so that things move the traffic a little bit freer through the area, and proper lights for pedestrians to cross, several different things that are going to happen in there. Chris Estel with Public Health is the main focus on that particular one, but that's going to happen this spring. That's coming up real soon.
All right. Again, Ken Daly's been our guest here today. Any final notes, a quick 90-second sales pitch job for people to become more involved with Blue Zones?
Well, I just think that each one of us take a look at our own lives and say, becoming a better person isn't something that just has to happen in January each year. Becoming a better person is something that's an ongoing process, and And really what it is just bringing those abilities that you have and your strengths to the fore, building on your strengths. How do you do that? Well, if you go to that again and sign up with the bluezonesproject.com website, there's several tools that are there that make life really easy to start to make some of these changes. One of the ones that's really wonderful is called the Vitality Compass, and it's a questionnaire, and you can actually calculate your biological age.
I don't want to do that.
Oh, it's wonderful. Because the nice thing about it is when you're done, you get your number, and it is just a number. But what it does is that it allows you then to look at your behaviors, and by just doing one or two little things, you can live, not you necessarily, but statistically as a group, 6 months, year, up to 8 years. For instance, people that go to church regularly, good churchgoers, they live any place between 2 to 8 years longer than people who don't go to church.
We mentioned it's just small changes, and if you go to Blue Zones, and that's bluezones.org.
Bluezonesproject.com.
Blue Zone, yeah, okay. And you can take the Blue Zone Challenge, and it's little things like turning off the television at dinner time, or getting the family together at dinner time, just little things like that. And maybe it's things you're already doing, but sign up, and then you say we need probably about 700 more.
We're hunting for 700 more people to get online, and we've had way more than that to sign up, but they haven't done the commitment.
All right. Ken, thank you for your time today. Always
Excellent.
Nice having you in. We'll keep updated as the summer rolls on about Blue Zones.